Hey, good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm just going to give you a really brief update on some numbers. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on that because we have some other things that we want to talk to you about today. We're very excited to be joined by Bruno's events team and have some really exciting news for you today. Just real quickly, I'll let you know that our numbers this week are fairly similar to where we were last week. We've had about 8 straight days now of more than 2,800 inpatients in the state. That might be possibly a plateau. It hasn't increased beyond that, but it certainly has not fallen off either. So we're still not confident that we can say that we're seeing any improvement at this time. We are seeing a significant increase in the number of people getting vaccinated. That's very encouraging news for us. Alabama is one of the top 5 or 6 states in the country in terms of percentage of increase in people getting vaccinated. We still have a long way to go, but or over 2.3 million people who've received at least 1 shot in the state so far. That number actually will be updated again by the end of the day, and I think it'll be significantly higher. So we are very pleased to see that. We continue to roll out monoclonal antibody treatment sites for those people who are infected or who have been exposed and are at high risk for serious illness. We added more than 50 providers around the state this week. We now have monoclonals that have been shipped to more than 200 locations. So we're very glad about that and be happy to answer any more questions if you like about that. So that was that's just a really brief update, just with some quick numbers. And at this time, it's my pleasure to turn things over to Gene Hallman and the Bruno's event team.
Thank you, Dr. Harris. I want to applaud you guys for your hard work and effort over the past year and a half. And frankly, this idea that we're launching today was an initiative that came from the Alabama Department of Public Health. They were doing a brainstorming session on how we can continue to get this momentum that he just referenced. And they threw this idea at my company, and we brainstormed it. And it's rather fluid and dynamic because it is short in the making, but we're going to have a very robust and well thought out platform of college football to help amplify the message that people need to get their vaccinations. And we all know about our love of college football here in the state of Alabama. I think just last year alone, we had a conference champion in Alabama A&M, UAB, and the University of Alabama, national championships, all the things that go along with college football. This is the best college football in the country right here in Alabama. So why not use this platform to convince people that they need to take that first dose? So we're starting with a landing page called kickcovid19.com. And what it does is it outlines a single game for each of the 13 colleges and universities in the state that play at either the FBS or the FCS level. And each one will have a home game that will be the highlighted game. And what I mean by highlighted game is we will be on site with medical professionals providing free vaccinations to fans, in some cases the day before and the day after the game, but certainly in all 13 situations, the day of the game. We will also be offering as a thank you to people who do take their first dose, the $75 gift card from the bookstore of that university that's hosting the home game. So you can go buy some fan apparel, hat, t-shirt, golf shirt, whatever it may be, has a way to say thank you for helping us make our communities safer. But there is an addition to that, in that on that day of game for that designated school, we're backing up 14 days, and anyone that takes their first shot in that 14-day period, they can upload their result to our website, our very secure website, and they can then receive a voucher, which they can then bring to the game and get a $75 gift card at the game as well. So if you're not wanting to take that first shot on the day of the game for whatever reason, you've got a 14-day window prior to that game as a fan of that school to get your first dose. So we think that will obviously help the uptake as well. The schools that are participating, just to be clear, are the University of Alabama, Auburn, UAB, South Alabama, West Alabama, North Alabama, Jacksonville State, Miles, Alabama A&M, Tuskegee, Alabama State University, Troy, and Samford. All 13 have been extremely excited. So when you go to kickcovid19.com, you'll see the schedule. There are as many as 3 or 4 games on certain weeks. And it's over like a 5 to 6 week time frame where each school will be the host for the vaccination clinic on site, but also that 14-day window, you back up from their day of game to start counting down to get your offsite vaccination and upload your result that day so you can get your gift card. I think the most important element in many ways to this program is the use of student athletes to help us promote the vaccine. Now, we just started reaching out to these student athletes here recently, and they all have something very important on their mind. Like Jacksonville State and UAB last night had their first game, and many schools have their first game this weekend. So this list is very preliminary in terms of the commitments we have from players who are going to participate. But we're going to get football players from all 13 schools to help us amplify the message of I've got mine, please get yours. And they're doing it for a lot of different reasons. They're doing it to help keep their community safe. They're doing it to communicate to their fellow students. Look, we've done the research. We know it's safe. If you're in doubt, please do your own research. There are a lot of myths about this vaccine in young people, and they're all myths. So go do your research, but we're very comfortable and we've taken it. So we encourage you to do that. We all know that Delta is impacting young people far more than Alpha was. So this message is directed at students, but also at fans, because this year, many schools have changed, many leagues, conferences have changed the rules that if you don't have the requisite number of players on your squad at kickoff, you forfeit the game. It's not postponed this year, you forfeit. So these players are at the end of the day, it's like, please help us. We don't want to get into a situation to where our team gets infected, even those who may be vaccinated, and have to forfeit a game, God forbid. But also, I think they're not saying this, but in talking to the football players we have, they all long for these home crowds. We all went to games, I think, for the most part last year, and it was an amazing thing to have pulled the season off last year, but that home field advantage was missing, that crowd. And at the end of the day, these young men, when it comes to football, are performers, and they want to play in front of large crowds. So their underlying message as well is going to be, please stay safe, keep our community safe, get vaccinated, and allow us to keep these stadiums full. So I will read off the list right now, very preliminary. And frankly, we started with the 2 SEC schools. So you'll hear more student athletes committed with them than the others. But to emphasize, all 13 schools will have athletes, football players who are part of this campaign. And this campaign consists of them posting on their own social media platforms. It will consist of digital ads that we'll run statewide. It'll consist of social media boosts that we do through ADPH's social media platform. And we're going to run television PSA statewide, where these athletes, these football players will be communicating various messages around get your vaccination. From the University of Alabama, thus far, we have committed Will Anderson, John Mechie, Will Richard, and Slade Bolden. And we've got 2 or 3 that are right on the cusp that I anticipate commitments from today. At Auburn, we have Bo Nix, Owen Popo, and Andres Carlson. From Alabama A&M, we have Akil Glass, the quarterback. And from Samford, we have their all-conference tight end, Michael Vick. Miss Alabama's also reached out to us herself and said, look, this is my platform. Vaccinations, getting your vaccine shot is my platform. I'm going to come and join you guys voluntarily at a lot of these sites to help drum up the support that we need. So this is about getting the number of vaccinations up in our state. So we will be doing these vaccinations at these various sites. So that's a real part of this campaign, obviously. But there's another component that's the marketing promotional component that comes from using college football as a platform. These players, especially, speaking from their heart in a very authentic voice of please get your vaccination. Taylor, I'll throw it back to you.
All right, guys, if you have a question, if you'll raise your hand and we can unmute you to take some questions for Dr. Harris and Jean now. Alan, go ahead.
Okay. First, Jean, I have to ask this question. You talk about going to bring in players on here. And I got a like image and question here. Are any of the players being compensated in any way for taking part in this public relations campaign?
They are. We had the option, Alan, at the beginning of working through the universities and asking for permission for the players to do it voluntarily. But being in the sports business ourselves, we're very familiar with the NIL, and we felt it appropriate that we use this new way of allowing athletes to frankly make some money by endorsements and promotional activities. But in this case, we were very clear at the outset, have you been vaccinated? Do you have a very pro-vaccine stance? And then if you do, then we can talk about the business deal. And we've done that. So all the athletes that we have are very sincere, very authentic in their beliefs. And we decided to use the NIL for that reason.
Can you say how much money, or is it vary player to player?
It varies player to player, but frankly, in the grand scheme of things, it's nominal amounts. To a player, these discussions have lasted just minutes in terms of the quote negotiation, because they have a lot of things on the line here, as I alluded to earlier. So they very much want to see vaccination and our rates here in the state continue, as Dr. Harris alluded to go up.
I'll let somebody else ask. I have follow-up questions. I'll let somebody else go and I'll come back a little later. Thank you.
Okay, Chandler, if you'd like to go ahead.
Hi, this is Kim Chandler at the Associated Press. Where is the money coming from for the $75 gift cards? I apologize. I might have missed that. I had technical difficulties. And Dr. Harris had previously expressed not pessimism, but concern on how much incentives actually move the needle on vaccinations. Why is there hope for this particular program?
Sure, Kim, thanks for that question. The money is actually sort of being pulled from different streams that we have that allow us to do what we're allowed to do. There's, as you know, some prohibition of direct state money being used for incentives, and some of our federal grants allow for that, and others do not. So there's not really one single stream that we're pulling from, but we're using several different things. I think I have had certainly concerns about incentives from what we've seen in other states, but I think what we see with this particular thing is that appealing to people in a campus setting allows us to reach a population in particular we're looking for, and it does it in the context of something that's really important to most people who are college students or even adults in our state, and that's college football. I think this is something that probably might not work in every state in the union, but in the South, particularly in Alabama, where college football is such a important part of everyone's life, college football weekends are, just the biggest weekends of the year. I think we have a really good opportunity here to make this a very successful program.
Brendan, if you'd like to go ahead and ask your question.
Yeah, I just wonder if you have a specific goal in mind in terms of numbers, what kind of numbers you hope to see, say, through the course of the entire season?
I can take a stab at that, Dr. Harris. Frankly, we don't have a clue. And I say that and laugh at the same time because we view this as much a promotional campaign as we do an actual vaccination uptake campaign. We think the residual value collectively of all 13 universities with their football players, high profile players, 4 and 5 players per team in a comprehensive, wide-ranging communication plan using university channels, using social media, using paid media to communicate their position relative to the vaccine is going to have a non-quantifiable impact on vaccination uptake in this state. So the direct answer is we're not really sure, but we know that whatever the number is, the impact is going to be far greater than those vaccines we give through the games themselves.
Yeah, I agree with Gene completely on that. Ultimately, whether you're trying to get people vaccinated or get people to listen to any other advice from public health, what we're trying to do is get people to change their behavior a little bit. And really the way you do that, the way you get people to change their behavior is that you try to normalize the things that we want them to do. We want vaccines to be the default option. We want them to be normal. And any program that can put more and more locations out there in public spaces for people to see and encounter and is going to be a good thing. I'm sure there are going to be some fans who haven't heard about this program until they just happen to walk up on it on game day when they're going to the football game. And that's exactly how we want it to be perceived. Vaccination is a normal part of what we want people to encounter and have available to them. And this is a great way to do that.
Back to you, Alan.
Dr. Harris, real quick, what vaccine is being used here? And backup, Moderna, coming out just the other day, has more antibodies out there. Your reaction to that, is that the reason maybe people got sick whenever they got Moderna first because it was a higher antibodies? And do you fear people might be shopping now for a vaccine rather than getting whatever is easily available?
Well, Alan, in terms of the vaccine availability we have in our state, we no longer have a problem with people shopping for a brand if that's what they want to do. There's plenty of every kind located in every county in the state. So if you want to go pick out one over the other, that's up to you. We feel like all of the vaccines are safe and effective, and they're all good choices just because of what we have available and some logistical things that J&J is not going to be available at these sites. At least I believe that's how it's going to end up being. We're going to have Pfizer at some or Moderna or some at some. Just get vaccinated is our message. I don't care what product you choose.
Is it good news that Moderna does have that high vaccine? If you have an opportunity to get it, it seems like that's a big lure.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure what to make of these kind of statements that that look at those kind of numbers. I mean, the bottom line is Pfizer and Moderna are both equally effective in preventing infections and hospitalizations and death. They're both equally effective in preventing people from getting seriously ill from the Delta variant that we have. They're clinically the same vaccine, and that's really almost true for J&J as well. It's a little less effective at preventing infections, but just as effective. So I don't think the antibody titer is really playing into any recommendations we would make.
Can you talk about where we are right now with vaccination rates and the uptick, where the numbers you've seen that we have jumped to? I know you want it to be bigger, and about how much we need, how far we are away from where we need to be.
Yeah, we obviously would like to be in a much better place than we are, but we have improved. We're not exactly dead last. I guess that's something to be proud of, but we have a long way to go, Alan. I think in terms of the number of people who received at least one dose, I believe we're ahead of 7 other states right now. You can't be number one until you get to number 43, I guess. And so I think we're headed in the right direction. We're seeing right now about half of the uptake we were seeing back during the real crush, back during March and April when we first started having enough vaccine to go around. You may remember there were some of those days where we hit, over 40,000 doses in a day. Our best day recently has been about, 23,000 doses. So that's very good. We're very happy with that. We just want to sustain it.
Erin, go ahead.
Thanks. Hi, everyone. I was just wondering if booster shots for people who have already had their first 2, are booster shots going to be available at these football games also?
Yeah, we don't have enough information to say. I think it's possible there could be a decision made on that before the end of this program. This is going to run over about a 3.5 week period into the first part of October. So we may be able to address boosters before it's over. But at the moment, as you know, booster doses have not been approved by FDA. That data has not been reviewed by ACIP and CDC. And so we don't have any recommendations to move on booster doses at this time.
Peggy, go ahead with your question.
Yes, I was wondering, how are you going to follow up with people since we're talking about initial vaccinations and you're going to be doing Pfizer and Moderna? How will y'all follow up with them on that second shot?
That's a great question, Peggy. In some cases, the schools have asked us to return in the 3 or 4 week time frame, dependent upon the vaccine, to provide the second doses. Absent that, we're going to be providing very precise information where people can go to get their second dose. And to the extent we can actually schedule those appointments at the site, we're going to do that. And that's our goal, is to be able to go into another provider's platform, which is publicly available. And 3 or 4 weeks to the day from that vaccine, that first dose, we're going to try and schedule their second appointment. If we can't do that, we're going to at least provide them the information needed to make sure that they go and do that.
We think that's a great plan. Certainly, 6 months ago when there was a relative scarcity of vaccine, we really had to make sure that we had the same provider open exactly 3 or 4 weeks later. Now there's more than 1,400 locations where you can get a vaccine, and you can get any product in any county in multiple locations in any county, usually without even an appointment, certainly without any kind of delay. So we think this makes a lot of sense, and is a way to make sure people can still access that first vaccine. We can't get anybody to get a second vaccine until we get them to get their first vaccine.
Melissa Brown, if you'd like to ask your question.
Hi, apologies if I missed this, but with the voucher incentive, it looks like the platform is up to 14 days before. So could someone retroactively add, if say they've already been vaccinated, upload their vaccine proof and get the voucher, or is it completely limited to that 14-day period and the day of the game?
Yes, Melissa, it's limited to that 14-day window prior to that particular university or college's designated game. And when they get their first dose, we're asking them within 24 hours to upload that result to kickcovid19.com, where we will then host that on a very HIPAA compliant, secure space. And then when they'll receive a voucher that's redeemable when they come on site for the game to get their gift card, which we're frankly viewing not so much as an incentive, but as a thank you to go get some fanware, from the college bookstore, that's supporting your local team, the team that you cheer for. And it's mainly viewed as a thank you. We view the central aspect of this program as being one using college football and the players themselves speaking in their own authentic, sincere voices, asking their fans and fellow students to please go and get that vaccine.
Does anyone else have any other follow-up questions?
So the name of the program, once again, is Kick COVID, pun intended. Kick COVID, kick COVID-19.com is the website. And we look forward to a very successful program. I think, Taylor, we got a couple quick questions here at the end.
Samson, if you want to go ahead and ask your question.
Yes, guys, sorry if this was already mentioned, but what are the details of the schedule of this series? Has it been released yet?
Yes, it's on our website. And Taylor, I want to make sure I'm saying the website correct.
That's correct. It's kickcovid19.com. So more details as well as the schedule are on the website.
The website just got launched today. This is a program that's going to be highly organized and efficient, but it's early in the genesis of the program. Matter of fact, the landing page just went live today, but it's got the schedule on there for each of the 13 participating schools in their designated game. Frankly, we tried to pick a lot of weekends where it was parent weekends. That was not coincidental, because this is about students, but also the fans and the parents, and to show the parents that we're doing everything we can to keep those campuses safe.
Brendan?
Yeah, just real quick, I was wondering if by limiting it to just a 14-day period, if you're worried some people might actually put this off, saying, hey, I'm going to time this a month and a half from now to get this when the message has been get vaccinated right away. And then also, Dr. S, if you could just address real quick after that, if you think that the voluntary call for masking and other countermeasures is working, or if, as the White House suggests, states should get more aggressive about putting requirements in place to make sure there's compliance.
Brendan, I'll get the easy one out of the way first. Great question. The amount of time that we spent debating the time window in the office from 7 to 10 to 14 days was hours, because we do want to create this condensed window of opportunity so that people feel the urgency, they don't put it off. So yes, the 14 days is limited for that very reason.
Yeah, in terms of the other question there, Brendan, I think a lot of people are hearing the message. Our guidance has been real consistent on this. For whatever reason, masks have become this real partisan symbol, like, everything else around COVID, it seems like these days. And it's really unfortunate that we're having to have those kind of conversations. But the scientific evidence on masks is very clear. People who consistently mask are less likely to get infected, they're less likely to infect others. So we continue to push that message out. Our governor's been very clear that there's not going to be a state mandate on that, but that certainly doesn't mean that local municipalities can't choose to do that. Certainly school boards are empowered to do that in school systems if they want to do that. Private businesses are allowed to do that if they want to do that. And we think it's a pretty non-invasive, safe, easy, inexpensive way to help prevent disease. So we hope people will continue to listen to that guidance.
Dennis, if you want to go ahead with your question.
Yeah, thank you. I know we've seen around the state a lot of blood drives and food drives kind of framed as a competition. Beat your school in raising the most money or blood or whatever. Was there any thought to making this anything like that? And will there be any kind of a competition or incentive like that?
Admittedly, we did in the early stages think of that very thing, especially with the the blood drive. I believe it happens every year at the Iron Bowl. But we got away from that given the varying sizes of colleges and universities that we're talking about. So there really is no intra-school competition. We look at it as one 13-school unified approach. And I cannot emphasize enough how supportive the administration at all these colleges and universities have been regarding this program. This is an unprecedented program, as Dr. Harris mentioned. We could find nothing of its type, certainly in the college football landscape. The Yankees, the Nets, the Bucks, the Mets, the PGA Tour, all did something along these lines for various games in their respective seasons, but nothing has as comprehensive and statewide as what we're describing here with Kick COVID.
Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. We will send out a link with this recording as well as a formal press release following this call. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.